Welcome to the Improve and Have Fun podcast. My name is Paul V. Perez, and on this podcast, I work on improving myself while having fun along the way with the hopes of encouraging you to do the same. And I do so by documenting my life and interests. And on this episode, Jason G and I are going to get together and review Overlord, JJ Abrams Bad Robot company produced movie. I had seen this movie when it came out in 2018. Admittedly, I kind of dozed in and out. When I was watching the movie, I was very tired, but had seen it within the last 6 months and enjoyed it then, enjoyed it even more when I saw it the second time. And I wanted to have Jason see it and we can review it together because he hadn't seen it before. But I think if it's up my alley, I definitely think it would be up his alley. So let's go ahead and get into the review. But just wanted to ask for your support for this podcast because this podcast is not free to do, but definitely love to bring it to you. And you can do so any number of ways. I have my new book out, which is a collection of my movie reviews from the last few years. And this is if you like kind of like superhero movies, Star Wars, the Marvel stuff, the DC stuff. I grew up with that. I'm a 70s baby, so I kind of grew up with that stuff, and I've always loved it. And I've written reviews on that stuff and collected it and put it out into a book, which is called There Will Be Spoilers. I have the audiobook version, the paperback version, and the ebook version, all available on Amazon and several other platforms, Kobo, Apple Books. And I will leave a link to that book in the description for this video. Also, if you have any thoughts or comments, definitely want to hear from you. And truth be told, subscribers are cool, notifications, all that stuff is cool, but what's even better are your comments, because I like to get a conversation going. So thoughts, comments, please do so below. Let me know what you think. And let's go ahead and get into the review. We are another podcast, another week in quarantine. And the movie that we agreed to watch together this week was Overlord. And before we start, let me just give a quick summary of what Overlord is about and when it was released as well. Here we go. But how are you doing, Jason?
Doing okay. I'm thankfully keeping the spirits up. And yes, I just watched Overlord 2 days, so I can have it fresh in my mind, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Very cool. So Overlord came out in 2018. It's a horror war movie, and the premise is on the eve of D-Day, American paratroopers drop behind enemy lines to penetrate the walls of a fortified church and destroy a radio transmitter. As the soldiers approach their target, they soon begin to realize that there's more going on in the Nazi-occupied village than a simple military operation. Making their way to an underground lab, the outnumbered men stumble upon a sinister experiment that forces them into a vicious battle against the army of the undead. Now, this movie was yes, this movie was produced by JJ Abrams. This is a Bad Robot production. Director is Julius Avery, and other movies that he's done. He's done other movies I'm not very familiar with. He did a movie with Ewan McGregor called Son of a Gun. Another movie is coming out this year called Samaritan. So not familiar with his work.
I believe he's Australian. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're right. You're exactly right. He's an Australian. And so, Jason, we're here. And what are your thoughts on Overlord? I recommended this to you last week. I thought that you would have really loved this, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yes. Yeah, Overlord was a generally very fun, likable movie. It was a little different than I had thought it would be after watching the trailer, because I seen the trailer a few times, quite a few times, from in the movie theater last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think last year. And I thought that it was going to be this like zombie apocalypse movie, and that took place in World War II. And it wasn't that, but it was that was okay with me because there's so many zombie apocalypse movies nowadays anyway, so didn't have to be that. I would say that in terms of the gore, it had a very good makeup crew. It wasn't gory the whole way through. I think it's more talking about maybe 70% war movie and 30% horror movie. That's about the ratio I'd say it was. And by the way, I talking about the title Overlord. I read about Operation Overlord was the code name for the Battle of Normandy.
Wow.
And the Battle of Normandy and D-Day, D-Day, I think the most of the world, if they didn't know D-Day before, they know it after watching, was it Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan? Because that opening scene took place on the landing, I think, of Omaha Beach there, and it was famous for so many people getting killed, and they had no protection. There was mines. There were Germans up in the hills that were just like shooting at them. Anyway, so it takes place the night before that landing is when this takes place, and they have this. I think it's a paratrooper squad that they're in a plane, and it's the night before, and all they're supposed to do is land near this church that's supposed to have this like antenna, radio antenna or some kind of antenna that where they're communicating with Berlin. Take it out, so then they will have the advantage for that day, and so that was it. Just by the way, the opening scene was incredible. I thought the opening scene was a 10 out of 10. It was fantastic. The opening credits had this great like radio kind of sound. Opening scene was like very very fast. It was noisy, suspenseful, and then this one guy whose name is, I think, Boyce, is it, or Boyce?
Yes.
Right.
He's the main Boyce. That's right. He's the main character. The actor's name is Giovanni Depo. But never seen him before. But he was fantastic in the movie. He was
very good.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good cast. I thought it was a good cast, and the other lead, I think, was also pretty good as well. And I read afterwards that he's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son, Wyatt Russell.
Right. He looks like, I mean, if you look at him, he looks like them. He looks like them. You know what I mean?
No, after finding that out, I could get it. I mean, he totally looks like it. I just didn't know until after that. But he was good, and he was very well spoken. The guy who played Boyce was good. Anyway, the opening scene was great. It's like it went from super noisy, the plane blows up. I forgot the name of this guy who was the sergeant who was telling them to jump.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's Hakeem Woodbine. Hakeem Woodbine.
Yes. He's great.
He's so great at giving speeches.
And he's great in that. And just that like 1 minute role, he's super duper great. And then even when the plane is like getting blown up and they're going down, that sergeant is like keeping his cool. He's like, just wait for the green, man. We're not jumping until we wait for the green light. They're like, I'm thinking, yo, dude, man, we got to just jump out the plane, man. Anyway, the guy Boyce, he lands in the water. It gets really quiet.
Full spoilers. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Full spoilers we're talking about.
Full spoilers. Yeah. And then they end up in this small town where this church is where the antenna is, and then they meet this French girl who's looking after his brother, her little brother, her aunt. Apparently,
she's not looking so good.
She's not looking so good. Anyway, it turns out that basically this movie is like Reanimator in World War II, because the Nazis, how many stories have we heard? And then movies are based upon these crazy experiments that Nazis did during World War II for making super powerful soldiers. Like, of course, there's what is it? The Captain America, right? Touches this, and also Hellboy, of course. A big part of Hellboy is about this kind of experimentation, and so that's what I felt. It was kind of like Reanimator, because there's a serum, and they're like passing the serum through bodies of people that are in the town, and then once they're out of those bodies, then they could use it, and then they're still in the testing stage, and I don't know, it's a little crazy, but the quality of the picture was good. I would say, it was a little anticlimactic, but overall it was a very enjoyable movie. I was hoping that it would be like so. I would be, after watching this movie, so exhausted because of all the stuff they went through, and then they saved it, and then D-Day came, and then there was no big like disadvantage on the beach of the landing of Normandy and all that, but it was still good, and the endings, when this guy Boyce, like, he's blowing up, it's just like Indiana Jones. He's like running, and everything's blowing up.
Falling apart behind him.
Like, I could do the scene like this. Just have a green screen here. But it was good. It was good. and in fact, that was enjoyable too, just to see that. Because it doesn't take it is quite serious of a movie. The guy who played the German is good. You really want
He
to hate him.
he was one of the best parts because like you just said, he is so good. He makes you really dislike him. The actor's name. I have the cast in front of me here. The actor's name is Pilou Absek, I think. And let me see what else he's been in before. He was in Game of Thrones. He was like a real big bad guy in Game of Thrones, as a matter of fact. But he was so good at like being a villain, like just instantly, like you hated him. You were like this guy, like, and this is in the very beginning. So there's a very villain great quality that he has, and he was fantastic. He was. His facials, like in the end when he becomes like this zombie super soldier, and like a half blown up, and then like
he was like hiding his face for a while, and then he stabbed himself with not one but two serum charges, I think, and then he looks up, he's like, "Hey, I'm ready," and then he's like half his face is blown. He probably would have been
in front of the kid, mind you, in front of the kid, like this kid's gonna probably be scarred for life. You know what I mean? Like seeing all this crazy zombie stuff, and he does it right in front of the kid. He was fantastic. He was intense. He was like so intense. It was him and Wyatt Russell that were like, I mean, the movie was a very intense movie, but those two, they were such great supporting heavies. Like when it came to like Boyce was kind of more like a little bit more gentler, and he was willing to show some compassion. But those two guys, they were just almost very similar in that it's war and we're gonna do what needs to get done. Even though Wyatt Russell at one point he like, you know what, Boise, like we have to do the mission, and he's very gung-ho about it, but then he's like, no, I'm not going to do it the way you want. We're going to save the kid. And he's like, okay, he has some heart, like, Wyatt Russell. But then the other guy is the complete opposite. He just wants to see them wrecked. He just wants to wreck the Americans and any opposition.
There's no mercy. As soon as he can get the chance to, he picks up the gun and starts shooting around. He has a bag over his head, and then he shoots one of the guys. I think what's his name, Chase. He's like the photographer.
No, that guy was a goof.
And then they're like,
the scene was great. Right? Like,
Boise was like, hey guys, I saw what this can do. Maybe we can save him. Let's do it. And his head flips over. His spines are coming out his neck.
I was very that one little scene was very Thing-like. I was like, oh, I gave me some like Thing vibes, Thing with the Kurt Russell movie. That gave me vibes of that, But I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah. No. It was just it was a good scene. There was one guy that they had like some like chambers or like a prison like rooms where they kept some of these people.
Yeah.
It was like one little peephole. Anyway, one of them gets loose. He reminded me of Sloth from the Goonies. He was like, bald, and he's like chasing them, and then and speaking about the French girl and Boise, they seem to like each other. I was thinking that would maybe get to a romantic situation, but it wasn't that kind of movie. But definitely, if the circumstances were straight, I think were better. I think they might have maybe got it on at one point.
She was gorgeous too. She was really really beautiful.
One thing that was funny is that when she was like all gone, and actually she was a badass like fighter and stuff, but she picks up the same type of flamethrower that Leonardo DiCaprio picks up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he says, "Hey, how would you like some fried sauerkraut?" And it's the same thing, with these gas takes on the back of her, and then she's using it like she knows how to, she's like fucking blows them out. Another great scene was when they sent that guy in his motorcycle with a sidecar, and he has his mouth taped. And then, when they rip the tape off, out, it pulls the peg of the grenade, and then all the whole like motorcycle's filled with explosives, and then he's like, no, and they rip it off, and the whole thing just blows up. It was great. It was a lot of fun, and then showing the aftermath of that. Half the guys having their faces ripped off, and that was, the only thing I would say that I was hoping for a little more like horror element. I was just like 50-50 as opposed to like 70-30. But I don't know. It was still good. It was still enjoyable.
I you know what, like thinking about what you said, like the trailer it shows mostly the horror stuff. It doesn't show the war stuff. So I can see how
Yeah.
it can be
Right.
a little deceiving. You know what I mean?
Right. That I think they were trying to sell the movie as it was going to be this like crazy wild zombie, movie that takes place in World War II, which would be an interesting, thing that hasn't really, been done too much. I mean, they have a lot of zombie stuff going on, but this would have been interesting because it looked like a legit war movie with zombies. But they weren't really zombies. They were like reanimated people. Like I said, it's just like the Reanimator, the classic horror comedy Reanimator. That's what happens to the people. This thing doesn't work. They haven't tested it enough. If you get the serum, that's it. You're gone. You ain't gonna survive this shit. You're gonna go nuts. You're gonna start killing people. I mean, you do turn stronger, but anyway, it was fun. I think I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a good recommendation, man.
This is the third time that I've seen the movie. I told you last week when I first saw the movie, I actually fell asleep. In the very beginning, I fell asleep, and like I woke up when I fell asleep like when they jumped out of the plane because like I said I was really tired that day, and then
You must have been tired because that was a great scene, right?
it was I was really tired. And I fell asleep. This is in the movies. I fell asleep. I woke up again when they were in the house and like Boyce and Tibbet or Tibbet like who was great as well. Like he just is always talking. You know what I mean?
Oh, Tibbet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was great. That they went out like to go like they went out to scout the area or something, but they left from the house. But what I'm trying to say is like I've seen the movie 3 times now. I saw it a second time recently, and then for our review I saw it again a third time. And
okay.
For me the movie is just a very solid movie. Like this movie, it builds up the characters, it makes you feel for the characters, and you become invested and you want to see these people win, like the people who are oppressed, like these small ragtag bunch of soldiers.
Absolutely, yeah.
This girl and this little boy in this town, and they're up against a bunch of Nazis, not just like one or two. And then you throw in this horror element. It's not like Dusk Till Dawn where it's like 2 separate movies. It's just all pretty much one whole movie.
Right.
I just think it's done very well. I just think the movie's really solid. I really think this movie is solid.
I wish I would have seen it in the theater because I didn't. And then I heard when I was looking at the like the trailer again, it says it was in IMAX. And it would be great to see it in IMAX. I mean, it'd be great to see any movie in IMAX because it's a bigger screen, better music, new sound system. But this would have been pretty darn good because the cinematography was great, the effects were great, and whatever war scenes there were, it's not all war scenes, but like especially the beginning of the movie. I mean, seeing that in IMAX alone would have been amazing. And what was interesting about that, when he fell to the ground, it almost looked like a video game because of one consistent take where he was in the foreground and then just like planes and explosions and everything behind him. It was very, very unique shot. I enjoyed that. It was really good.
And it's crazy like how there were so many of them in the beginning in that plane, and like a handful of them just make it to the ground.
Only a handful.
It was at least like 10 to 20 of soldiers, 20 soldiers in the plane. But like I said, I think the strongest thing about this movie is the setting and everything. The story is solid, and I just think I always go on about this, but I just think that the performances were fantastic. Because like I said, all these actors, they were really good. For me, nobody like kind of phoned it in. Everybody was great. The story proceeded at a great pace as well. And now that I've seen it the first time, and I know kind of what to expect the second and third time, the movie was better for me, like the second and third time.
Oh wow! Okay, very good.
I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm sorry. I thought that you would have like been crazy about this movie, but I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, but I very much enjoyed this movie. So, Jason, we're gonna like just give a final score.
The numbers, yeah.
And then we're gonna see. What's your final score?
I would say it would be a 7.5. I would say, yeah. It's definitely good. I guess the only thing but maybe it was now that I know what it's about, maybe I'll do what you said. Like I'll watch it again. Now I don't have any expectations. I thought it was going to be more horror, so maybe that was a disappointing aspect of it. And the fact that it wasn't really zombies. And I was thinking that, but yes, it was well done, and So I'll do it. I'll watch it again. And hopefully I'll enjoy it even more. But no, I didn't. I definitely liked it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like I said, wish we could have seen this in the movie theater. I don't know why we missed it, but I guess there was other stuff coming out. And what was it? When did it come out? November of 2019
Yeah,
or?
basically it came out at a busy time because you and I both know that around that time there's a lot of movies that come out, and sometimes we're busy because it is like the end of the year, and that is our busy season for work. It's our busy season even for movies. You know what I'm saying? So we were probably just
Right.
a little occupied at that time, but no, but 7.5. You know what? I can totally agree with your score. Like I said, I can see how the trailer can be deceiving from the movie that you ended up getting.
Right. Right.
For myself, this is like I said, the third time I've seen it. I know what to expect. For me, this movie is really fantastic. I highly recommend this movie if you're into a combination of war and horror movies. And we've seen this kind of movie before, where it's like these soldiers, they go into the secret lab and there's these crazy experiments going on. Now, this movie's like what I did notice, and I thought about you when watching the movie. Like this movie's
Mhm.
very violent and
Yes.
very violent, very gory. And I was thinking, like, how is Jason watching this? Like, with the girls being home with his wife and his dad. Are they gonna be like, "What are you watching?" kind of thing, right? Because this movie is very violent. But
Right.
if you like war movies with some horror in it, I highly recommend this. I really highly recommend this. My score for this movie is a 9.5. That's how strongly I feel about the movie. Well, the reason maybe is doesn't get a perfect 10. It is very violent. It is very gory. I have no issue with it. I like that. But the reason why it doesn't like get a perfect 10, and that's a great question.
Well, yeah, it's hard to get a perfect 10. I mean, almost no movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what movie would you say is a perfect 10 that
I
has
don't
no?
even know if we've ever given a movie. We probably have given a movie a perfect 10, but this movie's a 9.5. Like I really recommend this movie,
Mm,
and for me, it's gotten even better with multiple viewings. So I really recommend this movie 100%. I'm just surprised that this movie it didn't do more business at the box office. I do know that, but solid performances. The story proceeds at a good pace. You're never bored, and the performances are the best part of this movie. The
yeah,
performances
definitely.
the setting and the I mean, you know what? Maybe I will agree with you. The zombie stuff was okay. It wasn't like we've seen some great zombie stuff before. I mean, we've been spoiled. We've had so many like zombie movies and zombie
Right,
lore. But maybe the zombie stuff for this, and it wasn't even really zombies. It was good. It was very good.
right.
Zombie stuff wasn't like this is not the best zombies thing I've seen before. So maybe that's the reason why it gets a 9.5. But
I,
other than that, it's just a solid watch if you like I said, a horror movie, but mostly a war movie with some horror thrown in. This is not Dead Snow. Dead Snow is like there's dead zombies coming back, and that's more of a
in
zombie horror.
Norway.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. I really recommend it. This is, like I said, more of a war movie with scientific zombie experiments, but still super solid and highly recommended. For me, for sure.
Yeah, I think if I was in charge of like showing or making a trailer or trying to advertise this movie, I would advertise it in a way where they show you that they're doing this important they have this important the night before D-Day mission to take out this tower, this radio tower, and then concentrate on that, but there may or may not be Nazi experiments, and they don't show what it is. So then you don't know what the hell it is. Leave that a mystery, and then you intrigue us with that. So then you want to go see it, and then you see it's like this reanimated thing, and then it's totally like a surprise. Then I think I would have liked it more. So it was and it's kind of weird. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I would have liked it more just if they advertised it differently. But anyway, I'll still stick with the 7.5. I'll watch it again, and the next time we do a review, which is next Sunday probably, I'll tell you if I had a better experience the next time. I mean, it was still great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, dude. I mean, this movie was very well done, and I hope that everyone does more stuff. They're all good. The director, cinematography, the effects. not too much CGI. I think a lot of the effects were traditional makeup. I mean, I don't know
Like
for sure, but
the way the movie looked, this movie looked like a high budget movie. Like this was.
oh yeah, yeah.
This was
JJ Abrams. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
this didn't look cheap. You know what I'm saying? But and I also will leave. I'll leave a link to this movie, and I'm also going to leave a link to the movie that Jason keeps referring to. It's this 1985 horror movie called The Reanimator, and I will definitely leave a link.
Fantastic
So
movie.
check this
That
out
is such a good
and
movie.
see what he's talking about. Definitely. Now, Jason.
That's
Oh,
super violent and super gory, just like that Reanimator movie. But it's a very there's a lot of comedy in it. It's like a classic, midnight movie kind of movie,
okay.
So it's funny as hell. I mean, you can't take it seriously. It is hysterically funny, and it's shocking. It could offend some people. I think an X rating. When it first came out, it was one of those or non-rated. I mean, you had to be 17 or older. You couldn't bring your kids in to see it because it's that like over the top. But it's very well done. It's super. It was, I think, written by H.P. Lovecraft, a classic horror writer. And yeah, so check out Reanimator and check out Overlord, Reanimator in Normandy.
There you go. So, Jason, at this point, I made a recommendation last week for something that we can watch. Now, I would ask you if you can please make a recommendation that we can watch, that we can, Lord willing, meet up next week, next Sunday, and do this again. So, what is Jason G's recommendation for us to watch?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something because I but I want to make it. Can I like tell you during the week? I mean, I know you want to say it on here to show everyone. I don't know if you're going to post this before next week, but I just want to take a look at all the titles and pick a good one. I just want to because I haven't really like prepared for that.
Of course, and also I wanted to tell you like if it's also something that we've seen before that you want to watch again, that's okay too.
Okay.
Because sometimes second and third viewings of something, could change our minds or opinions on things. So, like I said, that's open too. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Maybe maybe we'll do that. Or how about this? Did you see the movie Outbreak recently? With Dustin Hoffman.
No, I have not. I saw Contagion recently, but I have not seen Outbreak. But
So
if you want to
let's do Outbreak. Let's do Outbreak.
Okay. Now, just to give a brief summary of Outbreak. All right. So
on Netflix, by the way.
Yes, it is on Netflix. Outbreak is with Dustin Hoffman. It came out in 1995, thriller action, and it's appropriate for what's going on right now.
Definitely.
The synopsis of Outbreak. So I'm gonna say the synopsis now, and then next week I'm not gonna give the full synopsis. I'll just give like a brief description. But the synopsis of Outbreak is a dangerous airborne virus threatens civilization in this tense thriller after an African monkey carrying a lethal virus is smuggled into the U.S. So definitely that's going to be for next week. It is on Netflix now. Outbreak, 1995 movie with Dustin Hoffman. So Jason, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And thank you once again so much for meeting me on this Sunday evening that we record this. And any final word?
Thank you. No, just everyone, just have a great week and, try to go out once in a while because going outside is, I think if you keep your distance, everything will be okay. You need fresh air. Don't worry too much. Going outside is, I think, perfectly okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. You can find all the different ways to connect with me, once again, in the description for this video. Other ways, besides buying the book that I had said earlier to support the podcast, like you can do your eBay or Amazon shopping provided in the links in the description. You can donate. So any and all notes of appreciation, i.e. dollars, are appreciated to go ahead and support this podcast. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.